Hi guys. So the Housing Secretary, Jenrick, was on Sky News to talk about the situation in Manchester and how the government are supporting Manchester. So let's hear what he had to say.
Who's to blame for what happened?
Well, obviously it was a great shame that we weren't able to reach agreement with Greater Manchester. We tried extremely hard. I had conversations, as did the Prime Minister's advisor, Sir Ed Lister, and the Prime Minister himself spoke to the Mayor, Andy Burnham, yesterday. But the public health situation in Greater Manchester was deteriorating. The evidence that we were receiving about the capacity of some of the hospitals in Greater Manchester, the number of cases, the fact it was rising up the age brackets to those people.
Okay, so there's a problem with this argument. So the government's position was, look, the situation is out of control. We need to intervene. Numbers of new cases are increasing. Numbers of people going into hospital are increasing. The numbers of people in ICU are increasing. We need to act. We need to deal with this. So we're going to increase the level of the restrictions to tier 3. But at the same time, we're not going to give the mayor the money that he wants. Now, if the government's position was the opposite, were to say, look, the mayor is asking for money, but the situation is not grave. The situation is improving. Numbers are down. The numbers of people going into hospital are decreasing. The number of people in ICU is plateauing or it's going down in general. We don't need to give the mayor of Manchester more money. That would be, in a sense, a sound argument. They could argue this, but they're arguing the opposite. They're saying the situation is getting worse, but we don't want to give the mayor the amount of money that he wants. Now, let's just imagine, for example, on a battlefield, there is a general. A general says, we're going to be overwhelmed. The enemy are coming towards us. They're going to overwhelm us. He gets on the phone to his superiors and says, look, we're going to be overwhelmed. Send me more reinforcements. And the government or his superiors' position is, yes, we understand your situation. We agree with your situation, but we're not going to send you more troops. And you say, why not? Because we don't think you need them. Yes, but I'm on the ground and I can see the situation. In the same way, the mayor is on the ground. The mayor has been dealing with this situation since the beginning. Surely you should trust in his judgment. If he says, I need X amount of money, it's true.
People who were in greater danger of ill health.
The infection rate's gone down.
The number of cases is rising in some parts of Greater Manchester. It seems there's some evidence of it plateauing in the centre of Manchester, perhaps linked to universities. But the very clear public,
Salford as well.
The very clear public health advice.
Is it not?
Can I just?
So Kate Burley is saying that the numbers are decreasing. Jenrick is saying the numbers are increasing. But if the numbers were increasing, surely that would mean that you need to spend more money. Surely you should be throwing whatever resources the mayor of Manchester wants at him.
Finish answering the question.
No, but you're saying it's going up, and I'm saying blatantly it isn't, because
I'm not sure what statistics you're actually looking at there, because the very clear public health advice that I received from the NHS.
Now, there is a story going, I don't know if it's true or not, but there is this rumour going around that the leaders of the Greater Manchester area have accused the government of cooking the books, of basically lying about how many people are in hospital and in ICU. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, and it's difficult to identify and to ascertain who is telling the truth here. But let's say, for example, the government are telling the truth and numbers are actually increasing. Then how can you go forward and say, yes, numbers are increasing, but we're not going to give you the resources that you want? Once again, if the argument was the opposite, numbers are decreasing, we don't need to spend so much money, I would be pretty much on board with that, but that's not the government's position.
NHS, from NHS England and the Chief Medical Officer, was that this was a serious and deteriorating situation in Greater Manchester and that we needed to act. That actually we probably, in honesty, should have acted a few days ago, but we hadn't been able to reach an agreement with the Mayor of Greater Manchester.
There is this political language. You see here that they're blaming in a very indirect way. Like, we tried to work with the mayor of Manchester. We tried to do our best, mentioning him by name, of course. There is this attempt to blame him. He was the problem. We did whatever we could. We understood the situation was grave, but he was the stumbling block. I hope this is not the case, because I'm very cynical, but I try to be not as cynical as I can. But is this the government playing political games? The government, so there have been accusations that the government have strong-armed other parts of the country into accepting their conditions. And maybe the mayor of Manchester said, no, I'm not going to accept the conditions imposed upon me. I'm going to fight for my citizens. I'm going to fight for the people of Manchester. And the government said, no, you do as you're told. Now, once again, I'm not privy to what has happened between Boris Johnson and the mayor of Manchester. But once again, I go back to the original point. If the government truly believed it was a serious situation, then they would give Andy Burnham whatever resources he wanted. They would say, here is the money that you want, without a problem. But that's not what's happening. Is this the government playing political games?
To do that, you've seen that we've been able to do that, I think, very successfully with other mayors and local leaders in the northwest, like in Liverpool City region.
That's not what they said. They said that they were forced into it.
No,
the mayor of Liverpool said that you were forced into it. We'll have to respectfully
disagree, because that's not the case. We had very productive conversations there. We've just been having... Yes.
Okay, but if the mayor of Liverpool said we were forced into it, and you're saying, no, we had constructive discussions, then who's telling the truth and who's telling lies? Because you can't have both. You can't say one was strong-armed. One is saying, I was strong-armed into doing it, and the government are saying, no, you were not. Why would he lie? Why would the mayor of... Now, you could say, if I want to be extremely cynical towards the mayor of Liverpool, you could say, well, he's saying that now because he sees someone else is potentially getting a better deal. Of course, they didn't get a better deal in the end. So he's like, oh, he has buyer's remorse. I don't think that's the case. I think the mayor of the city would try and fight to get whatever deal is best for them. Surely if the government, once again, if the government believe a situation is serious, surely they would provide the resources necessary.
Yesterday, we've just had very productive conversations with Dan Jarvis, the mayor of Sheffield and South Yorkshire, and those discussions are coming to a conclusion this morning, I hope. But we had to take action. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reach an agreement with the local leaders. But the important message to people in Greater Manchester is that, regardless of that, we're obviously going to do everything we can to support people and businesses in...
Not everything. We're going to do something. Don't say we're going to do everything we can, because you're not doing everything you can. You can do more, but you decided not to. Don't use this type of political language on people. People are going to suffer. People are going to suffer because there won't be resources available to deal with this pandemic. Now, what will happen, of course, is this is a victory in a sense for the Conservative Party and the government, because they're going to, when the situation gets worse in Manchester, they're saying it's going to get worse. Maybe it's not going to get worse, but if it does, who are they going to blame? They're going to blame the mayor. We offered him resources and he wouldn't take it. It's his fault. Hurrah, we have another person to blame. If it's Brexit, we blame the EU. If it's the pandemic, we blame, ordinary people. And now we can also blame the mayor of Manchester.
Greater Manchester, we've put in place a very extensive package of support, and that is there to help them through a challenging period.
Okay, as I said, the figures for Manchester, the city of Manchester, have gone down, and that, according to Public Health England.
Well, I think it's important to clarify, because this is a serious situation.
Yes, it is.
And I know that there are some who are downplaying what's happening in Greater Manchester. I think that's ill-advised.
Who's downplaying?
Well, some of the local leaders in Greater Manchester put out a statement over the weekend saying that they didn't think the situation was quite as serious as the public health professionals in the government were saying.
So some people, he doesn't identify who these people are. He just says public leaders. Like, are they MPs? Are they members of the council? Who are you talking about? But let's say, for example, there are people who are saying that the situation is not grave. Then why would they be asking for more money? Really, if the government, something doesn't calculate correctly for me, something doesn't add up. The government are saying the situation is grave, but we're not going to provide the money that the mayor wants. He's saying the opposite is happening. He's not saying the mayor himself, but he's saying local leaders are saying the situation is not grave, but they're asking for more money. Why would they ask for more money if the situation is improving? Why would you not provide more money if the situation is getting worse?
There are more COVID patients in hospitals in Greater Manchester at the moment than there are in the whole of the southeast and southwest of England combined. So this is a serious situation. We do need to take action. We had spent 10 or 11 days discussing it, so it was right that we moved forward, put in place those measures. I appreciate how difficult they are for people in Greater Manchester, and importantly, that we put in place the financial and other support that's needed.
So if it was so important, why were you squabbling over £5 million?
It wasn't just about £5 million. We had dozens of conversations. I'm afraid I'm not going to get into a point-scoring argument, but we simply were not able to reach agreement. The mayor and local leaders were not willing to agree to the package of support that we wanted to put in place.
I wish he didn't do it in this interview, but I wish he would have explained why they didn't agree. Because he's saying they didn't agree, but he's not explaining why they didn't agree. He could have said, look, we offered them this, and they said this wasn't enough because of X, Y, and Z, because they need to provide these types of resources. They need to provide this amount of money to people who are self-isolating or whatever. He could have explained that, but he doesn't. He just says, we offered something and they refused it. And that's it. It would be nice to know from his point of view why they disagreed, why they refused it.
And I completely understand that as a leader of a city, you want the absolute best for your local residents. I do as a constituency MP for my own constituency. But as a government, we have to act with fairness and be proportionate to what we're doing elsewhere in the country.
I think this plays back to the original problem of the mayors of the other cities were strong-armed into accepting the conditions from the government. The mayor of Manchester said, no, I'm going to actually stand up for my residents, for the people of my city. And the government were, wait a minute, you're not supposed to do that. And then it became a political battle. People's lives were thrown into a political game. And the government were saying, we're not going to lose face here. We're going to impose the restrictions. We have the power to impose these restrictions, and we have the power not to give the local government the resources that they want. We are in a stronger position, so we're going to face down the mayor of Manchester. But once again, if they're playing a ridiculous game, because they're saying the threat is huge, but they're not backing that up with the money that the mayor is asking for. Let's look at it from another point of view. Imagine if the mayor had said, okay, or if the government said, okay, we think this is serious, we're going to give the mayor the money that he wants. What would happen in that scenario? The mayor would come off as someone who has achieved a victory there. He negotiated with the government and he won. The government would look bad in the eyes of not so much the public. The public would say, well, that was a good idea. That was a good thing to do. The mayor asked for his money and he got it. It would look bad in the eyes of Tory MPs. Tory MPs would be, why are you giving loads of money to a Labour stronghold? Why are you giving money to a Labour mayor. Why are you doing that? You shouldn't be giving money to these people. These are the opposition. They are the enemy. They see it in the political eye. They see it in the political sense. They don't see it as looking after people. Once again, the Tories don't give a crap about people. It's all political. Let's see how much we can push the Labour Party. Let's see how much we can blame them. Let's see how much we can manipulate them. We are in a stronger position. It's disgusting. They're playing games with people's lives. Once again, I'm just going to finish on this point. If the government believed it was serious, then they would have thrown whatever money the mayor had asked for, and they didn't. So maybe it tells us that maybe they didn't really believe it was that serious. And this Tier 3 is just to punish the City of Manchester. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?